As Marnie indicated, I am proud to be President and CEO of the Buffalo Niagara Enterprise. We are a public-private partnership, 501c6, that represents the 8 counties of Western New York. We promote our region to the world around target industries, and then act to help coordinate business interest in the region among all of our public and private sector partners to bring a compelling business proposition to that company or investment. In our history since the year 2000, we have over 280 announcements that have totaled $3.8 billion of new investment and a little over 40,000 new jobs and jobs retained in the region. So many of the projects we work on have come to fruition in the last couple of years here, and for us, that's why we on staff all mow our lawns so we can see it done, because many of these projects take 5-6 years to do, and then they appear and everybody kind of thinks they're an overnight sensation. But it's nice to see all of the interest here. We were with Marnie to get this started, and it was a nugget of an idea, and it's gratifying to see the tremendous interest and participation that we have at this meeting. So I know I stand between you and cocktails, so we will keep everybody on schedule here. The rules are 10 minutes to present, so you get a 10-minute shot clock. You get a 5, 2, and 1 minute warning, guys. So I should also mention to you that they'll be available, the presenters will be available, that is, to speak outside in the exhibit area, where you can get in touch with them, leave your business card, and network with them. And I also will remind you that, Jack, you're going to come up right after me for the 1 minute presentations right after this, so please stay seated and don't move, and the faster we get through this, the faster we'll have some merriment. So with that in mind, it's my pleasure to introduce the first company that'll be presenting, and that's Attend LLC and Chuck Storman.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I'm Chuck Storman, CEO of Attend LLC, and I'm very happy that some of you stuck around, so thanks very much for that. Let me tell you about Media Cloud. Media Cloud is a web service for people that make movies, shows, and ads. The purpose of Media Cloud is to get technology out of the way of the storyteller's process. Now, ever since I was a little kid, just 6 years old, watching the original Star Trek on TV, I've been addicted to content. And by that I mean movies, shows, books, anything that tells a story. And storytelling has a pretty long history, going back thousands of years. Stories were necessary. They helped us find out where the food is and how to avoid danger. Our lives depended on these stories. And they helped us build language and establish culture, share values, and really become human. So we developed technology to capture our stories and techniques to share our stories with others, and means to share our stories with very large audiences. So today, all our content consists of digital files that can be delivered to us anywhere, anytime, on any device. And anyone with a computer and some software can be a content creator. But high-quality content is created by teams of artists working in collaboration. And these teams of artists need to pass huge digital files from one person to another every day. And that's a problem, because huge files are a huge hassle. And for 4.3 million content creators, the process of moving huge digital files and sharing them is too slow, like FedExing hard drives, or too technical, like maintaining an FTP site, or too expensive, like installing specialized software at each location. So Media Cloud is the solution, which makes sharing huge files fast, free, simple, and secure, and subscribers only pay for the storage that they use. Our technology lives in the cloud, which means that there's no special software that a user needs. They just access our website from any device, anywhere in the world, and the system just works. And it's fast. The user interface looks like a familiar desktop. There are files and folders. Everybody intuitively knows how to use it already. And sharing, even huge files, no matter how large, is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Click to create a secure link, click to email it to a collaborator, and then they can download the file. And if the file happens to be a video, then Media Cloud can stream it to any device regardless of what the original video format was. This is a large market that we're serving. It's $12.8 billion currently and growing at an 11% compound annual growth rate. And when someone uses Media Cloud to share with a collaborator, the collaborator often becomes a user in their own right. We make money by charging subscriptions based on how much storage someone uses. And these are just a few of our customers and their projects. Now, the first movie made on Media Cloud was Admission, which is a comedy starring Tina Fey and Paul Rudd that Focus Features released last March. Focus Features used Media Cloud in the post-production process. And since then, they've gone on to make 5 more movies on Media Cloud. Jen Lane, who is the post-production supervisor that worked on Admission, has gone on to make 2 more movies on Media Cloud for another studio, Division Films. And this is an example of viral growth. But there's an even faster way for us to gain new users, and that is film festivals. Like Promax BDA's Hotspots Showcase, the film festival entrants submit their entries using Media Cloud. And we were very grateful to have the organizers of this film festival endorse us from the stage of their annual conference in front of 3,000 media professionals.
Also, I want to thank Chuck Storman of Media Cloud. Chuck, are you here? There. Hey, Chuck. Stand up. Chuck provided the storage for this session, the cloud storage. And if you're looking for a great way to share big files, just contact Chuck at mediacloud.cc for more information.
This kind of endorsement has gained us 600 paid and trial accounts with some of the major networks and studios. So how do people solve this problem today without Media Cloud? A variety of different ways. As I mentioned earlier, some will actually hand deliver or FedEx a hard drive or some other physical media, and I find this amazing in this day and age that we're still FedExing hard drives around. Others will compress the video and upload it to a service like YouTube or Vimeo, and they sacrifice quality when they do that. And then still others will break large files up into small chunks, use something like Google Drive or Dropbox to transmit those chunks, and then the recipient on the other side has to put those chunks back together and reconstruct the original file. If that sounds complicated, that's because it is. J.D. Marlowe, who's a filmmaker, switched from Vimeo because Media Cloud gives him control over the quality that his collaborators and prospective investors see. Portia Nichols switched to Media Cloud to share drafts of video projects with her clients because she simply couldn't get Dropbox and Google Drive to work for her. And Jeff Roth, head of post-production for Focus Features, switched to Media Cloud because of schedule and budget constraints. In fact, he told me that they wouldn't have been able to finish Admission without Media Cloud. We're providing the solution that our competitors either can't or won't provide because we're focused on the specific needs of content creators. We have a first-rate team of domain experts, designers, developers, and marketers. Now, I was born in Niagara Falls, and I moved to Syracuse to go to college. I now live in Cazenovia, which is a little bit outside Syracuse. And I've built 4 startups since 2000 to exits totaling $101 million. I co-founded the Start Fast Venture Accelerator. I coach startup CEOs, and I invest in their companies. So at this stage in my career, I can really do anything I want. So why, oh why, would I go back to starting a company from scratch? Why did I start Media Cloud? Really 2 reasons. One is I love this industry. And second, this gives me an opportunity to put into practice everything I've learned about how to build a great company. My partner and Chief Technology Officer, Chris Hawkins, was born in Syracuse and now lives in Orchard Park. And actually, Chris is here today, so please take the opportunity to meet him. Chris leads the team that built Media Cloud, and he is a serial entrepreneur in his own right and a tech visionary. Our advisory board connects us with the venture community, film and media schools, and the post-production industry. And we've attracted industry mentors from major media companies, the forefront of cloud computing and advertising and marketing. To date, we've built this company with no outside capital. And today, we're seeking $500,000 from a select group of investment partners to build our business and become profitable in year 2. The exit potential for this business is attractive. Google was the most active acquirer in the space with 12 deals in 2012. And with exit valuations between 4.3 and 5.6 times trailing 12-month revenue, this company has an exit potential of $65 to $85 million in year 4. Thank you so much. I'm grateful that you stayed, and I really appreciate your attention.
Good job, Chuck. It just works. That's pretty cool. I like that. Next up, Graphinex Development Incorporated, and the presenter is Robert Anstey. Robert.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm the CEO and founder of Graphinex Development, and look forward to explaining a bit about the company this afternoon, since we're almost wrapping up. So Graphinex Development, what we've been able to do is develop a way to take graphenic materials and put them into a usable form. So I assume a lot of you or some of you have heard about all the hype and interest in graphene as a material that can change the world, and a lot of very large companies are using it, and a lot of universities, thousands of universities are using it. But a lot of the things that they're talking about are the 10 to 15-year time horizon. What we've done is come at it the other side of the coin and actually take graphenic materials and develop a way to disperse it into solvent or aqueous dispersions that we can then use to get directly into products. Because very often in the material device space, it can take 5 to 6 years to get into a product. Our team believes that it should be closer to 12 to 24 months to get into a project, whether it's with a partner company or a product of our own. These are some of the areas that we're looking at. So what do? We take a graphite commodity feedstock, and we select that feedstock based on the quality or performance that we need out of their product on the other end. We have a proprietary in-house process that we've developed to then take that graphite feedstock and turn it into basically a black liquid. Our team is composed of mostly chemical experts from companies such as Kodak, Dow Chemicals, SC Johnson, with 20 to 25 years of experience in developing products and developing chemical formulations, dispersions, and coatings. So we take this material, we disperse it into the target formulation we want, and then we partner. And we partner with a company in order to accelerate that product to market. The first example of this was we partnered with EMAC, which is a company in Amherst, New York, a $200 million revenue company that has a line of conductive inks for the print electronics market. And they had a carbon conductive ink, and we told them January 2012, we believe that we can make your conductive ink better. We will custom design a graphenic dispersion that will go directly into your ink, your formulation. You don't need to change your manufacturing whatsoever. You pour it in, it mixes, and you have better product. We were able to double and almost triple the conductivity of that conductive ink, and we launched that ink 13 months later after that initial discussion. And the reason we were able to do that so rapidly and so quickly is that we believe in a lot of the things that were talked about at lunch today, that you need to have trusting relationships, that you have to have open innovation, that you have to have tight feedback loops, and you have to work with companies that are already in the marketplace because they know what the end user wants, they know what the customer wants. So we took a product, we made it better, and it's been launched into the marketplace and has some revenue so far and is being tested by supply chains such as Samsung's supply chain over in Korea and by retail packaging companies in the US like Midwest Vaco, which is an $8 billion company. They're looking at taking this conductive graphene ink and putting it in the inside of packaging so that when you go to Walmart or Best Buy and you go to open a box, if you're a shoplifter, that breaks the circuit inside the box and informs the store that someone is going into that box. Midwest Vaco's already put it into 600 stores, and we've already gone through qualification, testing, and we are their secondary supplier at this point, and right now are quoting them on the price per item. And that's just one example of ways that we partner both with the manufacturer of the ink and also with the end user of that ink. And the conductive ink market is a $2.3 billion market, and the segment that is carbon-based is $300 million. And we made sure that we partner with a company that already has, I think they produce about 1 million pounds of carbon black-based ink a year, because that gets you to market quicker and that lowers the hurdles of commercialization that many startups face. And we're taking that same model and applying it to printed ultracapacitors. In our labs, we've already been able to double the performance of those ultracapacitors, and we are in discussions with ultracap companies and capacitor companies throughout the world right now. And taking our formulations, our dispersions, putting them into the electrode formulation, and then manufacturing those in roll-to-roll, large format in partnership with Kodak. That market right now is a $675 million market, but it's forecasted to grow to $3.2 billion because of all the new applications and developments in start-stop idle elimination, in wind turbines and electric buses and trains. It's a very fast-growing market, and that's why we're looking to partner with players that are already in that market and just provide the electrodes roll-to-roll over at Kodak's facility. And we already have an executed tolling manufacturing agreement with Kodak for daily rates, so all variable costs, we've got rid of capital costs. We've taken the cap-light model from software, and we've applied it to materials and devices. That is the true benefit and competitive advantage that we have, is we don't need to go out to investors and raise $20, $30 million to build a factory. For example, Lockheed Martin, we've had high-level conversations about using conductive ink to print antennas, about using conductive ink to do EMI and ESD shielding, and they're very interested in conformal ultracapacitors that can go into the UAV systems, and they've already written numerous letters of support to the military and given us specs in order to design from the ground up capacitors that can fit into what they need. Our team, our management team, myself actually used to be an attorney, but decided that it's technology that changes the world. It's working with other people on innovative ideas and building teams that have the strengths that you may be lacking. So what I did is I went out and found a team that was very experienced. Bill McKenna, 25 years, was a director at Dow Chemicals, Dow Advanced Materials, and Kodak. He spent his whole career developing products. John Pochan is a fellow of the American Chemist Society, one of the 100 best chemists in the world. And he spent a lot of time at SC Johnson and Sons, Xerox, and Kodak developing products his whole career. Joe Kunkemuller, who's in the crowd today, spent many years on Wall Street and around the world working with small micro-cap companies in financing, deal brokering, M&A action, which will help in the short term in making agreements with other companies, and in the longer term in M&A action or exit possibilities. So far, we've raised over $1.6 million in internal and outside funding, grant funding, a lot of non-dilutive funding, and we've taken that money and we've implemented. And we successfully developed products and partnerships. We have 2 JDAs, and we have over 8 NDAs with, I think, 6 of which are with Fortune 500 companies. And this is just technical, but basically we were able to increase the performance of Emax ink in 5 different ways across the board in both robustness, electrical connectivity, and performance that the end user wants without changing the way the end user uses the product. They don't even know the product is different other than the performance enhancement. In the conductive ink market, there are a couple companies working on graphene materials, but none of them have an ink background and none of them have a chemistry background. So they've come out of materials and they're trying to formulate how to get their products to work into these different market areas. We were willing to share the pie with EMAC and jump ahead in terms of both capacity and in terms of performance. And we actually have access to EMAC's entire line of conductive inks, so we can offer a full solution to our end user, which none of these other graphene companies have. We have dielectric inks, we have silver inks, silver-coated copper, so we can work on the entire realm of printed electronics, and we are leveraging that into ultracapacitors, because there's no reason you cannot print an ultracap. Its relation to printed electronics is actually pretty straightforward, and that's what we're doing. We're taking these materials and our expertise and applying them to this new area. The ultracap market is growing quite steadily in mainly stationary energy storage, industrial energy storage, forklifts, cranes, consumer electronics, and transport. And we're working closely with end users to say, what are the targets you need to get to market? We could work on this ultracap for the next 5 years and get a 10x, but we're saying, what do you need in order to get this into your product? 160 farads. Okay, we'll hit 160 farads and we'll launch this product. And that is our focus. Get it to market. Get it to market within 24 months. Our intellectual property comes from the University of Buffalo and developed in-house. We have a portfolio of trade secrets, and we have 1 PCT and some other provisionals. In terms of trade secrets versus patent protection, I can have a conversation with this with investors, but you need to have both, because if you patent certain things, you're just giving a cookbook to your competitors. Our revenue projections, it's about a 12 to 18 month qualification cycle for a lot of these conductive and printed electronic inks, so the revenue growth at first is a little bit slower, but when they take off, they're all large volume users. And that's why you see the steady increase. The main thing we're excited about is the ultracapacitors 4 to 5 years out, because there are very large companies that want to put ultracapacitors into many different applications, and we are talking directly to capacitor manufacturers who could handle that volume. And just to put into perspective, Kodak with their coating facilities could manufacture enough coating for 1 million devices in less than 20 working days. So the capacity is already there, and we're working with their team to do the scale up. We're doing a $1.5 million convertible debt round. We already have half of that committed. We're just looking to fill out the round. The convertible debt is a 15% discount, 8% compound interest. All the documentation is done, and we're just syndicating the deal. If you're interested in that, come talk to me afterwards, and thank you very, very much for your time this afternoon.
Good job, Rob. Next up, SynchroPet from our friend Mark Alessi.
Hello, my name is Mark Alessi. I'm the CEO of SynchroPet, a biomedical device startup that is bringing to market a revolutionary platform PET scan technology developed at Brookhaven National Lab, which is a United States Department of Energy federal lab. So first, let's talk about PET scans. It's positron emission tomography. It has nothing to do with your pets at home or dogs and cats or the veterinarian market, and I have to qualify that. It is a medical imaging modality that's a functional imaging. It tells you what the cells are doing while they're doing it. So it's used on humans, and it's used on small animals like rats and mice for drug development and disease research. Being a functional imaging modality, it monitors what the cells are doing through metabolism. So it's superior at finding cancer activity long before a tumor is present. It's superior at finding things like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, and now it's moving more and more into cardiology. The limitations of PET in the market today are the fact that when you're doing small animal study, you have to anesthetize that animal. And that anesthesia has a confounding effect on neuronal test results. So it's great for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's research, but that anesthesia is a problem. There's limited anatomical information associated with PET. So it's not an MRI or a CAT scan or an X-ray, which is a snapshot of your internal organs or soft tissue. So you could see that there's cancer long before an MRI can, but unlike an MRI, you can't tell exactly where that cancer is. And traditionally in the market, they're quite expensive. Brookhaven National Lab and the federal government spent $10 million creating this revolutionary APD block. So this is an APD, and all the processing of components associated with PET has been replaced with this ASIC microchip. So all the processing happens at the PET detector block, and it's serial encoded over one wire. This makes us, enables us to build smaller PET scanners, cheaper PET scanners. They have twice the resolution of any PET scanner on the clinical market, and they're MRI compatible. So now you can merge the functional imaging of PET with the anatomical information of MRI. So these are the devices we've been able to put together, the prototypes. We have a small animal PET that inserts into existing small animal MRI devices. So here at the University of Buffalo, they have a small animal MRI, or at Roswell, and they use those MRI devices to do cancer research. They have a separate department, a PET scan department, that uses PET scans to do cancer research. We can give them a new PET scanner that goes directly into their MRI and revolutionize the kind of research that they can do. We also build the smallest PET scanner in the world. This is called the RatCat. It is a well-known device. We just went to the World Molecular Imaging Congress. It was our first convention as a company. It was the buzz of the convention, but everybody already heard of the RatCat. Everybody was very interested in the PET MRI. But there is a niche market for the RatCat. Neuronal researchers who are studying Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and developing drugs for those diseases, they've never been able to image an awake animal. So we're getting rid of the confounding effects of anesthesia, but they're also able to monitor behavior while imaging the brain, and that's never been done before. And then this is the mini PET. So it's the same PET detector ring as the other two devices. So our engineering is pretty simple. We're refining our software, we're refining our electrical engineering, and it helps bring these three devices to market by next year. It's a similar market. It's the small animal PET market. But this does what every other PET scanner does on the market. The only difference is it's a fraction of the size and a third of the cost. The risk detector is our first clinical device for humans. So this device makes every human PET scan more useful. PET is very quantitative. So when somebody had been treated for cancer in one part of their body, there's usually a full body PET scan to determine where the cancer might have gone. Or if they're being treated for cancer, it's used for tumor mapping to determine if the chemo is working. But to make it even more quantitative and more useful, knowing the bioavailability of the radio tracer in the blood at the time of the scan is what's needed. The only way to do that today is an arterial catheter. It's very painful. It's not an IV. It's not going into a vein. Arterial catheters are very painful, very problematic. Nobody does it. So in the PET market, they're estimating how much radio tracer is in the blood at the time of the scan. Now we can non-invasively wrap the human wrist and tell you how much radio tracer is in that artery, as if we're doing a catheter. So this makes PET scanners a whole lot more quantitative, every single one of them in the world. And then the breast PET MRI. MRI of the breast is the best detection method for breast cancer. It finds things really early. Unfortunately, there's a lot of false positives. So insurance companies, although the industry wants to get to the point where we're using MRI as opposed to mammography, insurance companies will not reimburse MRI as a mode of first choice. You have to have had a history of breast cancer to be able to qualify for MRI detection. We can retrofit the table that goes into MRI devices with small breast PET scanners. And now we could negate those false positives. If you see something on the MRI, you run a PET scan simultaneously, and you'll see if it's lighting up and if it's cancer. So what do the markets look like? We're entering the small animal markets first because there's no FDA approval process. We could start selling devices next year. The small animal PET market in 2011 was about a $100 million market with a 14% compound annual growth rate. The small animal MRI market was about a $116 million market with a 23% compound annual growth rate. This year, it's projected to be about a $300 million market, the small animal, pet, and MRI market. We're interested in both of those markets because we have an MRI-compatible PET scanner. And we've just signed a letter of intent with a small animal MRI manufacturer that is looking to sell our PET scan in their new MRI devices. In the clinical pet market, that's the market for our risk detectors, there's 5,000 clinical pets worldwide that we could sell into that legacy market, and then there's 200 coming online every year. And when it's the clinical MRI market, and we could insert our PET scanners like the breast PET and other devices into those MRIs, there's 26,000 MRI devices worldwide. And when it comes to the breast PET, half of them are doing breast imaging, and we make them a whole lot more accurate. So how do we compare to the competition? In the small animal imaging market, our resolution is the same as everybody else, so that's good. But in the human market, we have twice the resolution of any clinical PET scanner. So when we scale up for that full body PET that it could insert into an MRI device, one of the major competitive advantages is you have twice the resolution. In the small animal market, we're the only ones that could do awake small animal imaging. Siemens can do a full body PET MRI, but we're the only company that could actually build a PET scanner small enough to insert into existing MRI devices. Our size and the cost are a major competitive advantage. So I spoke a little bit about how we're entering the market. We're going to the small animal imaging market first with our RACCAP mini PET and PET insert. And we're partnering with a small animal MRI company and a small animal radiotherapy company. We have two strategic partners as of about a month ago. And by the time we start getting to the risk PET and the clinical sales, we do believe we're an acquisition target for a larger imaging company that would like to compete with a Siemens on the PET MRI platform. So these are our projections, and I know I used to run the Long Island Angel Network. I know every investor in this room is cutting them in half, but I could tell you that my strategics that I'm talking to now times them by 2, and they have to agree to that number in order to keep a license with us. So they determined that my projections are conservative, but based on these projections, we have $50 million in revenue by year 5, and we're profitable after year 1. I am a corporate attorney. I'm the founding CEO of Syncropet. I'm a former tech transfer policymaker. I'm the member of the Peconic Bay Hospital Board of Directors. I know how hospitals make their purchasing decisions. My CTO is a nuclear physicist who has worked at a prior PET startup that successfully sold to Philips. And we're bringing on a COO who hasn't made this slide yet, who has experience at MRI companies. And selling to small animal labs. We're raising $500,000. $250,000 of that has been committed already. So we're looking to close that round, dare I say, even with my own personal money by the end of November. I have put about $150,000 into this company already. I would like to mitigate my risk and bring on additional investors. We don't have to raise a whole lot of money after this. The strategic partnerships might even reduce the need for these additional capital raises. So we're looking to raise another $250,000. Thank you for your time.
Good job, Mark. Next up, the Worldwide App Incorporated, Chris Callahan.
Buffalo, New York. I have one huge question for you. I need to know if you all are actually ready to be a part of the wave of the future. I hope so. I'm Crystal Callahan, founder and president of the Worldwide App Incorporated. That means that I am in the business of mobile movies. Now, movies and mobile are at this point both billion-dollar industries. So we set out to find a fun, smart way to tap into these two high-growth markets. We want to use technology to innovate the way that talent is discovered in the film business. So we released a movie game into mobile app stores this past summer, and I would love for this $1 million platform to be the next great success story to come out of Western New York. Now, if you're gonna get to know me, you gotta meet my dad first, okay? He was a techie, trekkie nerd. He used to geek out on anything computers, games, or film. So I am absolutely a chip off of the old block. I was born right here in Buffalo, New York, graduated from City Honors, and then the University of Virginia. I moved to California in '99. I worked half of my career in the Silicon Valley in intellectual property law, and the other half of my career in film sales and marketing in Hollywood. As a distributor, I oversaw independent feature film releases. I worked alongside former studio executives who had traded in their careers from Warner Brothers, MGM, Sony Columbia, and Paramount to work on the booming independent film scene. They believe, just like I believe, that indie is the wave of the future. So I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of the popular independent film festivals. We're talking Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, Tribeca. But now there are over 10,000 global film festivals that host millions of film fans. So I traveled the circuit, and with my specific background and experience, I found gaps and opportunities. Moviegoers are really only seeing the work of a few filmmakers from a few of these festivals at our local multiplex theaters, and many of those theaters are owned by major studios. But new technology and new equipment is giving birth to a new filmmaker. And this filmmaker is, when he's not making those big feature films that you hear about, he's actually making really great short films. But because they're so small, they don't live on the big screen after they play at the film festival. So after the festival, a short filmmaker and a short film are typically sitting on the shelf. So we thought, what if we were to build a platform for this new filmmaker to thrive and grow after the film festival? After all, he's just like a feature-length filmmaker. He wants three things: to make money from his content, he wants to grow his audience, and he wants to open a door in his career. So why don't we create this platform and find a way to put it inside of a mobile app? We'll develop it as a mobile theater so that we can project the filmmaker's work directly into his fans' hands. So in 2010, we went into research and development on a mobile app that we now call the Worldwide Mobile Movie Theater. And it's a good thing because Nielsen and Consumer Reports now confirm that 1 out of 2 Americans own a smartphone. And of those that own smartphones, 85% now install mobile apps. Of those mobile apps, the most popular are, guess what? Games, movies, and social networking. So we integrated all of those features into the worldwide product. Our plan is to use the technology of today to help fans discover the filmmakers of tomorrow. Now, our user experience is very straightforward. The fan can do 3 things: view, vote, and it's all on the go. We're going to use this platform to turn all of those filmmakers into contestants and all of those film fans into consumers. They can view the short films as an exciting campaign to get interested in the new filmmaker. They can vote to give this filmmaker a break in his career. So every year in this mobile game setting, the most popular filmmakers get a chance to win going from their hometown to Hollywood. Now, who did we design this for? We've nicknamed them. They're called smartphoning moviegoers. So maybe you're not one, but I bet you know one, okay? These people are 18 to 34. They spend 90% of their day attached to the mobile phone. They love movies. They've been to these film festivals, or they would love going to these film festivals. We're talking about the YouTube generation, okay? These people have short attention spans. They want little bites of content that they can consume on their phones when they're going from point A to B. This is also what we call the American Idol type of voter. They don't want entertainment handed connected to them. They want to be engaged. They want a piece of the action. They want to vote. They want their voice to be heard. So this mobile app platform has to be highly interactive. What are we really doing here with helping these filmmakers grow their fan base through this mobile movie game? We are helping them grow from local, regional, national, to international, shining a spotlight on them. That spotlight then creates a halo effect on our game, our app, and our company. It positions us to attract consumer revenue, sponsor interest, and buyout conversations from major media conglomerates. There is a huge premium that is placed on platforms that are able to successfully aggregate these large-scale communities. Now, the mobile app itself is completely free to download, and it's completely free. You can check it out and sneak preview the content that's inside. But we monetize the platform by selling tickets inside of the app. They're mobile movie tickets. We've organized the content into 4 screening rooms, so user can access any of these screening rooms by making the purchase for $1.99. Once they open up the screening rooms, they can watch all of the short film campaigns, and most importantly, they can vote for the filmmaker that they want advanced in the game. So as a distributor, you're multiplying your number of film fans times the number of mobile movie tickets that are sold. And once they buy a ticket inside of the app, they don't have to pay again. This ticket is good for the remainder of the game year. So after you pay a percentage of revenue to the application stores, we pay a percentage of revenue to the filmmakers, and then we retain the gross margin to worldwide. So you've got just all of these mobile movie tickets scaling you up into $1 million platform. And we put it as 5 years or less because obviously with the viral nature of these types of platforms, it certainly does not have to take 5 years for us to hit those milestones. How do you market a mobile movie game? Well, we did focus group testing, and they responded really positively to our hometown to Hollywood branding. So that's the angle that we would have to take. This can't just be about a filmmaker and his short films. It's got to be about a filmmaker's dream, his journey, his career. And that's what we're going to capture in our marketing campaign. So we've got PR outreach, social media outreach, live events in the filmmakers' hometowns. We'll then do some top-down marketing, have a presence at festivals and markets. We'll do a direct campaign to commuters. They can play the game going from point A to B. And I have celebrity endorsements in my back pocket because of my time in Los Angeles. We've got our team here. I'm headquartered now in Buffalo, New York. My family cooks for me. It is great to be home. I've got my Chief Digital Officer, John. He's headquartered in Los Angeles. We've got a volunteer team of managers that are helping us manage the current filmmakers and their campaigns. I'm with Z80 Labs in Buffalo, and I'm with SUNY Fredonia Technology Incubator as our university affiliate. So we do have the infrastructure, the personnel, and the support to really bring this thing home. Proof of concept, we already have it. App is in the market now. It's available for your iPhone, your iPad, and your Android. I'd love to install it on your device, give you a preview. Our app is installed daily. Movie tickets are actually purchased daily. We have no major publicity behind this yet. I have money accruing in our merchant account. We've got interest from Japan, France, Berlin, India, Moscow, and Vancouver. I have a group in Ontario that already wants to franchise the platform to make sure the Canadian film contestants and consumers get into the game for next year. We have an investor group that is ready to match any funds that we bring in. We're raising $500,000. We can be capital efficient because I have the research, the experience, and the relationships of the years, and we've already taken product to market. We want to acquire more users. That's a specific focus of the spend, and we want our investors to watch those numbers go up. We need you to create this media legacy right out of Western New York. I can't wait to have a drink with you and talk about it later. Thank you.
Thanks for moving back, Crystal. Next up, Coach Me Plus with Kevin Davidowitz.
So first off, I mean, thanks everybody for staying as long as you have. The day kind of gets long after a while, and you guys are still here, so thanks. Start off by saying this: what does the Buffalo Sabres, the Oregon Ducks, the Philadelphia Eagles, Edmonton Oilers, Columbus Blue Jackets, and the U.S. Olympic hockey team all have in common? They're all using Coach Me Plus right now. So what is Coach Me Plus? Well, Coach Me Plus is a way for strength and conditioning coaches to create their programs and deliver them to their athletes on their smartphone. Those athletes do the work and then report their information back to the coaches. You see, back in the old days, coaches would have to create all their strength conditioning programs, anything that they were doing with their athletes on paper, and it took them quite some time. And today with technology, well, they're still doing it the same way. These coaches really haven't moved beyond the old way of doing things because they're usually the last to catch on to new technology. Some of the newer or some of the smarter coaches are actually using technology, and they're using spreadsheets, they're using Excel, they're using Word, they're basically using whatever they have at their disposal to create these programs and to track any information that the athletes are feeding back to them. Well, that creates a mound of data that these guys have to go in, customize, share, give it to their administrative staff, give it to any general managers or any athletic directors that might be in their organization, and that becomes a data management nightmare. We also identified, working with some of these organizations, that they've all started to catch on to the wearable device wave. And with that, it's producing more data. So you have heart rate monitors, you have body fat percentage scales, you have treadmills, you have these devices that you can track where the athlete is moving around on the field. And you end up with these huge amounts of data, creating data overload. So these coaches are dealing with all this information when they really should be dealing with the athlete. So we take this data overload and we simplify things. This, what you're seeing, is the Coach Me Plus dashboard. We've taken information from multiple devices within the facility. We've taken information from strength and conditioning exercises that the athlete was performing and putting in these things into a simple chart. You have weight information, hydration information, you have heart rate data, you have lifting data, everything going into a simplified format that these guys can use and share with their staff and with their coaches. But it's not just information, it's tools. Coach Me Plus has grown from just a way to work with the athlete on the strength conditioning side and turn into a full athlete management platform. So here you're seeing something that the coach might use to create a strength conditioning program. Instead of using Excel, they have a nice little drag and drop interface that they can go into and assign their work to their athletes. We also have communication built into the application as well. So these guys are on the road, they're on their smartphones, they're on their mobile devices, they need to communicate with other coaches in the organization. And if somebody comes in and talks to the strength conditioning coach, says something to him that might be relevant to how he's working, and then goes off and talks to the head coach, that athlete's message might change. But now they have accountability in the system because everybody sees the same information. So the secret sauce behind what we do is pretty much the same as any cloud-based software that's coming out now. We just happen to be an industry that hasn't been exposed to it yet. So Coach Me Plus, you have your strength and conditioning coaches building out your programs and reviewing information that comes back to you. We have device data coming in from any wearable devices or treadmills or whatever you might have within your facility, all going into the cloud. You have cloud-based information coming into the system as well. So with the pro teams, you have league data coming in, you have stats coming in, you have performance indicators coming in that actually show you value for the work that these guys are doing. And then finally, the athletes are doing the work, doing the workouts, putting the information back into the system, providing the coach and the organization with an overall comprehensive view of the athlete. So how do we know so much about this industry? We started working with the Buffalo Sabres back in 2003. And what we were asked to do was to replace what I showed you earlier, all the paper that these guys were doing. They were literally mailing out and FedExing decks of paper out to their athletes in the off season and saying, do your workouts, see it in the off, or see when you come back. So we replaced that with CD-ROMs and eventually DVDs and eventually this online application that became what is now Coach Me Plus. And the best feedback that we can get back from the coaches was what used to take them hours and days now, or what used to take them days now takes them hours. So they've increased their efficiency and their ability to work with their athletes. Now the Sabres were great, but what we've done since then, since we've launched, is gotten a lot more traction. And the interesting thing that happened when we started working with more organizations was we moved away from the strength conditioning side and we started moving into the athlete management side. So for instance, the Columbus Blue Jackets, their scouting department uses it to upload scouting videos from other teams, from their own team, and basically contribute to the conversation around those videos. The Edmonton Oilers, they use it to put in the actual facility feedback information as athletes are working out so that they can hold accountable the guys that may or may not be high or low performers. And it kind of creates this peer review and support around the organization. The Philadelphia Eagles, every single coach and every single athlete in the Philadelphia Eagles organization logs into Coach Me Plus every day. They check everything that I showed you on that dashboard to make sure that their athletes are at the highest performance level possible and readiness when it comes to being able to go out and play. And then Oregon is our most recent acquisition, and they're just beginning to put all the pieces together, but we anticipate some additional support help from them and coming up with more tools as we work with them. Our pipeline is strong as well. I mentioned the U.S. Olympic team. They're using it currently, and we're working to finalize a contract with them. But we have many universities already in active trial. These guys are in there, they're doing the work, they're putting in the information into the system. And what's nice about that is that the cost to change is pretty high. Coaches are creating content, they're putting in data, they're putting in reports, and that builds a mound of information that's attached to Coach Me Plus that's difficult to walk away from once you're using it. So we anticipate that the pipeline will turn over rather nicely for us. We've also developed strategic partnerships in the market because while we're unique in the market as a product, we know that competition will soon rise up and come out to hit us. So what we're trying to do to limit that is lock in as many partnerships with device companies as possible as early as possible. So what you see here are devices that we've actually interfaced with and we connect information from. On the left-hand side, there's 3 companies there that I've listed that are actually using Coach Me Plus as a way to get themselves introduced to other organizations. So now there's this two-way communication that's happening between us and the partnerships that we're trying to form. Now I'm talking about pro teams. Obviously it's a sexy market, but it's the smallest market that we're going after. But it introduces us and it moves us into the other markets that we want to approach. And that is universities, schools, and eventually down into the consumer side where we're working with personal trainers and gyms. How do we price this? Well, we charge an annual fee to the organizations that are managing all their athletes. It's a $4,000 installation fee per athlete license, and the average size of the deal is between $30,000 and $60,000 per year. When we go into the gyms, we don't see this as a cost center as much as we see as a revenue generator for the personal trainers. The personal trainers are going to sell Coach Me Plus as an add-on service to what they're already doing so that they can earn revenue on top of the members that they already have. Development team, we're entrepreneurs. We've been through this several times. This is our 4th venture that we've been involved with at some capacity between each other. So we've worked together pretty well. Our advisory group is pretty strong. We're working with Z80 Labs. We have industry professionals as our content and technical advisory group, and that's kind of helped us form a really strong product. So where we go, eventually we take the service platform where we're combining information, we're combining data, we're combining all of this into a single place that has a huge amount of data. We can monetize that data in the end using API connections, et cetera, to really just pull out that data, and we become more than a platform, we become a data mining application. So we're currently raising $1 million. This is actually a little bit inaccurate. As of yesterday, we're at 90%, so we've moved up pretty quickly over here. We've bootstrapped up to date, and in that bootstrapping effort, we've raised the clients that we have there, and things have moved along nicely. So, I'll leave it with this. Darcy Regier said, without tracking, there is no accountability. Coaches are using this right now, actively, every day, to create accountability in their organization, and hopefully this tool will increase their ability to do so. Thanks.